Hi, everybody. I'm Jen and this is Robin, and we are here today to talk to you about something that you see and may confuse you a lot. It's in the headlines, right? Do things this way, don't do things this way. Think about all the information that you get online that contradicts other information, and both seem right. Like it's very confusing. And then you go to research it and you find a lot of stuff supporting one way, you find a lot of stuff supporting another way. And kind of like we talked about last week, there's like this middle ground of what really works. Well, today we're going to be talking about how much we should eat, when we should eat, and how that all works. And there's a lot of information out there. And the thing about it is that there's almost so much information. Just like I said, we get really confused and we have access to so much. And we have people, when it comes to eating, when we're talking about conscious eating and weight management here, there are so many programs that you can do. And honestly, I've done most of them. And I have lost a lot of weight with all of them. The problem is I haven't been able to keep it off until conscious eating entered my life and I understood that aspect of it. So today we want to show you how to bring back the authority. You may love a program and you might find a lot of success with it. And you may be like, no way, I'm going to keep doing this because I love it. Great. We want you to keep doing it. We just don't want you to get to the end of that and then have it be something where the weight starts coming back on because there's no authority telling you what to do, or you've gotten bored, or life happens, right? Life is always lifing. It never stops and things happen. So we want to show you how to become the personal authority of that. And it's exciting because even though there's all this information out there that can confuse us, or I can go to a family dinner and I swear everybody's eating a different way. It's so funny. I know that everybody else is seeing this. And because I cater, I'm a hobby caterer on the side. I'm telling you, I've seen it all where people want this because it's gluten-free, or this because they can't have this, or they want it fat-free, or they want this. Like I've seen it all, and it's run full cycle, kind of with whatever the fad seems to be at the time. But the exciting thing is we also live in this time where I feel like we are coming full circle, where people are getting more conscious, more in tune. They're waking up to some of the things we've myths and things we've been told in the food industry and realizing, okay, that's really not the case of what has happened. I ate this way and maybe I got sicker. And I ate the opposite of what somebody said and maybe I felt better. So we want to talk to you about how you get to become the personal authority and somebody else doesn't get to tell you what to do or when to do it or things like that. And this is in no way saying that if there's a particular way you like to eat, please do that. But if you find yourself doing that, and because if you find yourself doing that and your weight is still going like this is still the missing piece. You still need this no matter how. And I'm talking for people who do the simplest things to the most drastic things. Even what are some of the new things we're seeing out right now? Like there's shots that people are taking that are helping, right, with their weight loss. But there's sometimes people have surgery, sometimes people completely eliminate foods. But the issue is unless that continues, and you don't work on what we're going to talk to you about, at the end of that, the weight comes back on because they have not changed. So method is not what we're talking about of getting there, but taking back the authority on how to remain there and keep it is what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I think the main mindset that we're addressing here that has been a strong one in this industry and in our society is that someone outside of me is the expert on how I should eat. Yeah. Right. I can't tell you how many people have come to me throughout the years of like, I just need someone to tell me what to do and then I'll do it. Or, we've been told, I feel so confused. I have no idea how I'm supposed to eat. Or I've known people that get so anxious about that they avoid eating, or they get anxious when it's time to eat because they're so afraid to do it wrong. Because like you said, we have so much information. We have so many experts, right? Think of all the ads we get for weight loss. It's $1 billion industry. It's one of the biggest industries, if not the biggest industry that we have in our economy. Is targeted towards, health and wellness and the weight loss. And so this is why we want to help bring clarity. We're not here asserting ourselves as the authority to tell you when you should eat and how much. We're here to actually point some things out to you and fix that mindset that somebody else knows better and that somebody else is the expert of my body. So did you want to say something?
Well, I was just thinking too, and we're not going to even be saying like, oh, eat this, don't eat that. But what I will say with that as we're talking is you do have the opportunity to study and to learn also. There is a lot of really good information out there about food and different things. So we talk about being the authority and using wisdom, right? Using wisdom at what you put in your body. And it means you can have the things that you enjoy, but you can always go overboard too. And so it's just studying that and learning that. But the authority is, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. The authority is not having, I always tell people, I remember when I had to wake up and eat at this time, then have a snack, then eat at this time, because this is what my nutritionist had me do. And then eat at this time. I didn't care if I was hungry or not, is what I was supposed to do at those times. It was somebody else being my authority.
Yeah. And here's what's wrong with that mindset, right? Again, that belief that somebody else is the expert and somebody else is the one who knows what I need and when I need it and how much I need it. It's that what happens when that person goes away? What happens when that person's no longer there and you're accountable to them and you're doing their program, right? Or what happens when maybe it's the program or even the lifestyle or the way of eating that you've adopted, if you're assigning the authority to it, that the program itself is a neutral existence, right? It's a tool there,
Right.
But we tend to assign the authority to this program. Unless I'm following this program, that's me assigning that mindset of outside of me. Well, once I get bored of it, or once I slip away from it and deviate a little bit, and then I'm trying to get myself back on board, all of that, when we feel that we have let the authority down or that we are no longer following that authority, we start looking for the next one. We feel lost, we feel confused, we feel like we don't know how to really take care of ourselves, and we're looking for that next person to tell us what the answer is. And we just go on from thing to thing to thing, to person to program. And again, these can be tools that you use, but you need to be really clear with yourself with who the authority is. And of course, we keep pointing it back to it's you. Now, let's help them get some concrete ideas of what that means, because it's one thing to say, yeah, you're the authority and you need to use your wisdom.
Right.
People they're like, no, I want, a structure. I want something, a template I can follow. And so we're going to give you the template, and it's going to sound pretty familiar because we keep coming back around to it. But the structure is conscious eating, right? Where it brings you back because it has you connecting to your body. And I believe we've talked about this before, where you were born with the authority. There was no plan you came home with. There was no expert that said, here's how much and how often. You dictated that through your hormones and how you communicated when you felt the discomfort of hunger and when you felt the fullness. Yeah. So that's what we're coming back to.
Right. It's almost just reminding yourself, hey, I used to be like this. Because I always love the baby example of a baby, right? They cry, they let you know when they're hungry, they let you know when they're full. Little kids are out running around, playing around, having fun, not feeling hungry at all. And we're like, hey, come in, it's lunchtime. And they're like, I'm not hungry, I'm playing. And we're like, nope, we have to. Sorry, I as a mom took my children's authority away. And
Totally. Yeah.
We all did. But it's kind of an understanding of, you see where it starts and we start moving along. We were born with the perfect capacity to know, and to know what our body needed. Simple as that. And over time, we lose that a little bit, right? And that's obviously, there's some realisticness of where you have to live in, right? Like when you're on your lunch break, maybe you're thinking, okay, I need to eat lunch there, but do you need to if you're not hungry? Right? Who's the authority of that? Is your boss telling you when you eat lunch?
Right. And then you're going to have situations where sometimes you might be in a situation, lunch break is the only opportunity to eat out of your entire workday. You don't have the flexibility to eat when you want to. Well, then again, you have the authority to work with that. You're not like, oh no, this plan tells me that I can only eat at these times. Or even sometimes people try to at first change conscious eating into it, where it's like, well, but I wasn't hungry, but then I don't have access to food for another 6 hours. It's like, well, then what does wisdom say there? What do you feel would be the right thing? Right. And then there's others in the situation where lunchtime isn't necessarily when they're hungry, but they have the freedom to eat whenever they feel like it at their desk or in the break room. And so they wait until then. And so
it's working with what you have and using your wisdom, but listening to your body too. And so that's the first step, is when are you hungry? You're going to eat.
Right. And that is something no one outside of you can tell you. That's something that you have to listen for cues. And when you're doing this, just like the example of the baby there's hormones responsible for that. When you're hungry, when you're satisfied. And so that takes care of when and how much to eat, right? with the baby being calibrated, that's what we're aiming to do with this practice, is get those same hormones regulated again. And so when you're listening for the cue of the body, instead of saying, well, my plan says eat right now, and you're saying, hey, body, I'm going to go to work today. You let me know when you need to eat. Then you're in tune with those hormones, and things start to happen. Things start to regulate. So yes, it's that step. Also, it's like we said, it's paying attention to the cues of when you've had enough. Beyond that, it's now that we're not a baby anymore, and we've had so many different societal and familial beliefs, that we've absorbed about food and the use of food and the purpose of food and when to use it and what needs it meets. That's now how we've gotten, out of sync, like as a baby. And so that's where this personal authority is so important, because you already have certain neural pathways in your brain telling you, hey, when I need comfort, I need food. When I'm bored, I need food. Here's a tradition we started, and whenever we do this and this activity, we always get food, and this is the food we eat. And so the personal authority helps you be mindful and pay attention to these desires as they come up, so that you can say, wait a second, is this my body, or is this just something I learned that this is what I do with food, and I'm just automatically and unconsciously responding to it, which is another way we give away our authority. Well, we were told breakfast is the most important of the meal of the day, so we do it. So
Right.
see how that all works together, even with the mind hunger.
Right. And especially social eating. I mean,
Mhm.
social is so interesting to me, because you can be full and not be hungry. And then all of a sudden, I was just having a conversation with my teenage daughter about this. She's like, it's so crazy. Like, I'm not hungry. And all of a sudden I'm with my friends, we're somewhere hanging out, and a big old thing of French fries lands on the table. And all of a sudden we're all just eating them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I go, that is just so common everywhere you go. You walk into the break room and there's food out on the table.
Right.
Right now is the holiday season. So it just seems like there's treats and lots of baking going on. Like, life is always going to life. That's just what I always say. It's
Yeah.
not going away. It's not when we get past this. It's just learning to listen. And I think most people know it's easier for them to tell when they are hungry, when they ask that question. But
Mhm.
sometimes the tricky one can be knowing when you're full, right? And that just takes
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
I've certainly had lots of practice with that, where I'm like, wow, okay, I might have gone one bite too many, right?
Right. Right.
And it's a learned thing, learning your body. But
Mhm.
the nice thing about that is, when you take back the authority and you do that, and you are checking in and you're paying attention, is you start feeling emotions for other things too, right? Because now
Mhm.
when we're bored, we're not filling that time with food, or when we're stressed, we're not filling that time with food. It's time to actually fill what our body is telling us to fill at that time.
Right. Or take care of the need that is actually being expressed. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so with bringing back the personal authority with food, you realize how much you bring it back in so many other ways. You become the personal authority of your emotions and of your state of being, where you before maybe felt like life kind of dictated that for you. So there's
Right.
such great benefits on every level. And I know we point to this so much, with eating being the most basic form of self-care, when you add this aspect of mindfulness, really is what personal authority is, right? When you add this aspect to this most basic thing that you do, it's this muscle that you're exercising every day. And you start seeing, as you build this personal authority with food, you start to build it with your emotions. You start to build it with your circumstances, where maybe you were more reactive to things, and now you've learned to be more mindful before you react, because you did it with food. And so you can start to see it extend into your life, and it's wonderful. And one of the things I think it takes care of is that rebellious nature we tend to get when we're on a plan, when we're dieting. Can't tell you how many times I myself have felt this, but I've coached on this, where people are like, I don't know, I just kind of have this rebellious thing in me. I don't like being told what to do, which is funny, because on the front end, we're like, I need somebody to tell me what to do. If you just lay it out for me, I'll do it. And I know I can lose the weight. And then on the back end, in the middle of it, we're like, I don't want to do it your way. I don't want to do this. And when you do the conscious eating, and the authority comes back to you, and you're not following someone else's plan for you, and you're just really working with it and listening to your body, and also making sure you're getting things you want and that are important to you, and that's all in balance, it eliminates that whole rebellious thing in you to want to just go against the plan, even when it's working, even
Yeah.
if you're having crazy success. There's something in us that wants, I think personal authority is a fundamental principle for us that we want always.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you take back that authority, you feel in control. It
Yes.
takes off time limits. It
Yeah.
takes off this pressure that we put on ourselves.
Mhm.
And it allows you to eat different things that you want to eat because you're
Yes.
listening, you're checking, and you don't feel this need to, oh, I'm finally going to allow myself to have that. So I better eat everything I can eat while I do it. And
Right.
overall, you just become more connected with yourself, with
Yeah.
food, but like you said, with everything else. When certain things are flowing and things are going really well, everything usually is going really well, right? It's all working
Right.
together in sync. And so take back the authority, and you will find more peace, I believe.
Yeah, the confusion will clear up. And here's the thing, you guys, when you just when we say bring back the authority, we're truly talking about the fundamental piece of at least let it be you that's in charge of when and how much you eat.
Yes.
Like bring that back to you. If you still are using some other tools, if there's a certain way of eating, the food itself feels good, that doesn't mean you're outsourcing. Okay, it's you can get good ideas, you can use tools that have worked for you, but we're really talking about fundamentally who's really in charge here of how often and how much I eat. Let that be me, because that I have systems and hormones in place that's literally their job. So let me bring that back. So I think that's the important thing. It's going to clear so much confusion for you and help you feel in control, and all the things that you just said, Jennifer, that's so important about what happens when that comes back to you. How many times, have you been eating, according to somebody else's timing, and you're still hungry, even though you've spent all your calories and you're still hungry? Or you, on the flip side, you're feeling pretty satisfied. Your body's like, thank you, but you're like, I still have 300 more calories I need to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the types of confusions that are so good to clear up, because there's a lot of coaching involved with people who have followed other programs. The coaching we have to do to correct that is there's a lot of anxiety around eating, because in the past, maybe you said, I'm not allowed to eat for 3 hours after I eat. And I want to fill up, so I'm not hungry again. I'm scared to get hungry again. This is where a lot of these fears and anxiety around eating have come from, is because we are trying to fit somebody else's template to us and follow it. So
Right.
anxiety, goes away, that authority comes back, and you can know that you can trust the cues your body's giving you. You're going to get in sync with it. And like we keep saying, watch the ripple effect in every other area.
Absolutely. And like everything else, it takes practice.
Yeah.
It takes practice. Think about a challenge that you've had in your life where you're like, oh gosh, I want to not be reactive to this. And maybe it took experience after experience after experience to get there where you weren't reactive. You got to be patient with yourself in this also, and consciously make the effort to do it. And it starts becoming easier and easier. So let us know how that goes for you. But I think that once you start putting it into practice, you'll be like, okay, this is awesome.
It feels good to be in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, have a good day and good luck. Stay conscious.